First of all, can you tell us what does it mean, Tel Aviv Maccabi, for your nation, for your country?
Well, for us, it's the biggest team in our country. It's if I look at the last few years, I think they're controlling. They are the most dominant force in our football. I don't know if you know, but around 2012, Jordi Cruyff, the son of Johan Cruyff, was the general manager of Maccabi, and he won with the team 3 titles, 3 championships. And after he left the team 2 years ago, and Maccabi Tel Aviv won the last two championships with a coach named Vladimir Ivic. Since then, he was appointed the new manager of Watford. He will trying to get them back to the Premier League.
Yeah, I know it. But looking to the tables, to the Israeli championship table, it looks like that Tel Aviv Maccabi hasn't competitors. They have just one loss in a long season in 36 games and a very huge advantage over others. How is that? Because we know in Latvia that also other clubs are pretty good in Israel.
Yeah, but the gap between Maccabi Tel Aviv and the opponents, the other team, is very, very big. As you said, on the last 2 seasons, they lost only 2 league games with Coach Ivic.
Yeah.
And right now, they are having, like, let's say, a process. They lost a lot of important players, not a lot, but a bunch of important players. And right now they're trying, I'm willing to say that trying to build themselves to rebuild themselves with the new coach, Yorgos Donis, who is a Greek coach. They lost players like Dor Micha and Domer Atzili. There are 2 good midfielders. They're also part way with Jair Amador, who is a very, very good defender who left for Saragossa from Spain. Also another Portuguese player, the right back, Andre Geraldes, left the team. And they and on the attack, they got back Tal Ben Chaim, who left for Sparta Prague 2 years ago, who is a very, very good player in Israel. But because of injuries and because he had a little bit of problems there in Czech Republic, he hasn't played for something like 2 years. So Maccabi Tel Aviv, they're right now rebuilding themselves, but they're still the best team in Israel, better than Maccabi Haifa, better than Hapoel Be'er Sheva, better than Beitar Jerusalem. The gap is very big.
It's a logical question. Why to rebuild the team if everything is so good? It's because of good transfers and to earn some money, or why is that?
Well, I think for players like Jair Amador or Andre Geraldes, I could say they got here by mistakes. They thought to themselves, okay, so I'll spend this last 2 years in Israel, and it will be just like just a step on my way back to a bigger league. Like I said, they're both Portuguese. They were playing in there. Jair Amador playing in Spain. And also, let's face it, the Israeli league is not so attractive. Maybe the wages are pretty decent comparing to Latvia, but I think players who come to Maccabi always think themselves that this could be just a stepping stone, just let's say part of the way back to a bigger league.
Can you give us some numbers? You mentioned about these wages. Maybe you can not to be precise, but let's say approximately to say which is the average wage in Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Well, there's players who get something like 450,000 euros for a year, something like this. Not for a year, but the contract worth it's something like this. I don't know precisely the numbers, but I could say there's There's a billionaire behind the team, a Canadian billionaire who's named Mitch Goldar. He's Jewish, so it's like, it's like a very, very close project for him. So because of his money, Maccabi Tel Aviv is a dominant force in our league.
Okay. About also the coach, changing the coach. Okay, as I understand that the Ivica went up to the better league to make career. Why decision about new Greek coach came so lately before the Euro Cups, and why him, and do you know his strengths?
Well, Yorgos Donis, you mentioned Ivic. Ivic is it's a student of the Greek football. He spent a lot of years there as a player, as a coach. And Yorgos Donis, his successor, is Greek. Ivic was the one who made the recommendation to sign Donis. Donis made a lot of has success in the Greek football. He's the first Greek player to play in the Premier League. He played in Blackburn Rovers back in the day when Blackburn was part of the Premier League. He is a very, very famous player in Panathinaikos. Also, as a player, he won the cup with more modest teams like Larissa, and he came back to Panathinaikos. Also, he qualified for the Champions League group stages with Hapoel Nicosia twice. Yeah. He also played against Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Europa League a few years back when Paulo Sousa was the coach of Maccabi. Mm-hmm. He came back to Panathinaikos when Panathinaikos was having a very, very big financial crisis. And with this crisis, with contracts who are very, very, with the wages are very low, with a lot of young players, he finished the season on 4th place in Greece. So I think, so with all these problems, it's very, very impressive. It's a very good coach, but he's something different than Ivic. In Israel, we don't know much about Ivic because he was such as a, let's say, poker face. He was always so intense. It's always so, how should I say it? I don't want to say angry, but it always was so tense, And even if he come to an interview and on the post game, he doesn't talk too much. And Yorgos Donis, it's as I know, I didn't also against Riga will be the first game of him in charge because he needed to finish his quarantine time. Everyone who come back to Israel from other country needs to get into quarantine for 2 weeks. So against Riga, he will finish his quarantine and could be on the sideline. Donis, it's the opposition. It's the opposition of Ivic. He's very, very energetic. He has passion, and he doesn't hold back. He's saying what he needs to say.
Mm-hmm. But does he know the new team very good? So I suppose he has watched many of videos these 2 weeks when he sits in quarantine, but still it's not the same like in training session, etc.
In Israel, they're saying that it looks like the preparation time for Maccabi was not very good because we finished the league after the Corona break. We came back we finished the league in the beginning of July, and there's something like just a month to do the preparation. On this time, you need to sign players. You need to look for new foreign players. And if foreign players come, right now, there's no new foreign players. But if someone will come, he will need to go to quarantine. And it's very, 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 let's say, it's very, very difficult to say to a foreign player, well, if you get to Israel, you need to enter to quarantine. Mm-hmm. So with all this, with all this crisis, let's call it crisis, not crisis, but with all these bad conditions, Maccabi Tel Aviv won the Super Cup without, it was very easy for the team, mm-hmm. And also they were also qualified for another final. We've got a tournament called Toto Cup, which the final will held in this Saturday. So it gives you a little bit of perspective how much powerful is this team.
So what is your final thoughts? Is Maccabi Tel Aviv ready for the match against Riga, taking in account what you said?
As far as I'm concerned, I know that Riga went through a process of itself. There's a lot of money in the team, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right.
Right now, they're signing a lot of players, and I think it will be a big challenge for Maccabi. And to be honest with you, I will not be surprised if Riga would pass Maccabi and defeat them.
But you think it's more because Riga is a solid team, or more because of these, you said, things about quarantine, about this?
Yeah, because of the preparation. Riga, there's much more rhythm in Riga game, not just because of the money, but Riga already the league has started, and Maccabi Tel Aviv just recovering from the last season, and right now they need to start another season. Well, to win the Super Cup, it's nice, but when you come to the Champions League, it's a different scenario. And I think Riga, because it's only a one game, for Riga there's a good chance to win this match.
Also interesting thing, Maccabi dominates in Israeli league, and Israeli league is very strong. But in Euro Cups, you have been unsuccessful last years. You lost to Sudova, you lost to Norwegian team, you lost to Cluj. Almost every duel was a problem for Maccabi Tel Aviv. Why is that? Why so different results in Euro Cups and Israeli Championship?
I can tell you this: Maccabi Tel Aviv is a little bit traumatic because what happened against Sudova on last season. And yeah, you're right. On the last 2 years, Maccabi Tel Aviv didn't have European campaign. With Ivic, he lost the European campaign very, very early in the season. So his main focus was just the league. And with the gap between the teams, it was too easy for Maccabi Tel Aviv to win the championship. The margin, the gap was very, 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 very big. So there's a problem there, and I think because I know how is the difference. In Maccabi Tel Aviv, it's much more easy for her to play against an Israeli opponent than a European opponent. I think the Riga there's a 50-50 chance between the two teams, and it's very, very interesting to see if Maccabi Tel Aviv can get over this trauma from Sudova last year.
Mm-hmm. You are saying about 50-50, but odds are saying still Maccabi are big favorites. But okay, it's your opinion. Can you tell us a little bit about the style of Maccabi Tel Aviv right now? How do they play? What formation they use, and maybe some leaders from this team?
On the first games of this season, they played with three players on the attack, with
4-3-3.
Yeah, 4-3-3. Mm-hmm. They've got a young player from Panama whose name is Eduardo Guerrero. I think you should put attention. You should put attention for him. He's a young player from the youth team, but because Maccabi Tel Aviv didn't finish to rebuild their team, is getting playing minutes right now. He's a very, very interesting player. Also, I think a player is a very, very talented is Jonathan Cohen, who made more than 10 goals and 10 assists last year. Well, I don't know how. In Greece, they told me that Donis loved to play in big games, 4-4-2. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow is a big game because Maccabi Tel Aviv, with all the corona, with all this situation, they still believe they can qualify for the Champions League. So let's gamble and say that tomorrow Donis will play 4-4-2, because in Greece they're saying this is the formation he's choosing for big games. But we also need to remember that this is his first game on charge. Mm-hmm. So
I understand that different coaches maybe will be different approaches, but if you look at this team, which is the like classic goal for scoring goal style for Maccabi Tel Aviv? How do they score these goals and how do they attack when they are dominant?
Well, I think they're very, very strong in the counterattack, very, very strong in the counterattack, because they always know how to take advantage of the weaknesses of the rivals in Israel. And I think that with the scouting they've done about Riga, I think this will be their main focus. They will want to dominate the game. Well, as you mentioned, in Latvia also they're saying that Maccabi Tel Aviv is the favorite. I think Maccabi Tel Aviv seeing themselves as the favorites of this game, and we're trying to control the game because maybe it's without fans, but it's also it's still an home game.
Mm-hmm. We are also a little bit afraid of hot weather in Israel, but the game will be at 8 p.m. So how hot it will be? Maybe you can say something about degrees at the evening.
Actually, we just finished a heat wave on the last few days, but from tomorrow it should be, well, it's August and it's still very, very hot, but for an Israeli summer, it should be okay tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Also, interesting thing, have there been any quotes from Maccabi Tel Aviv coaches, players, maybe media, some opinions? What are people waiting from this game?
Well, Coach Doni said he doesn't come here to make big changes on Maccabi Tel Aviv squad. He said that he knows that Riga has great players, but I think it still is in Maccabi hands. As he said, I don't want to ruin what was built here on the last 2 years. So let's see. I don't think right now they're not talking about new players. Who can come from Greece, players that but it's irrelevant for Riga because we're talking about a game we will play tomorrow. But as you said, in Maccabi Tel Aviv, there's a lot of success on the last 2 years, and they want to keep it with the new coach. It's very, very interesting to see what will be.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's probably very hard to say due to COVID crisis, but can you compare the Maccabi Tel Aviv 2015, when was the last time the team played in Champions League group tournament 5 years ago, and now?
Well, there's a big change because Eran Zehavi is playing right now in China and not in Maccabi Tel Aviv. Eran Zehavi, it's our national team captain. It's the biggest star of Israeli football. And it was the main reason that Maccabi Tel Aviv qualified for the Champions League group stage in this season. Well, Coach Ivic, if Maccabi Tel Aviv after Zehavi left couldn't handle and they lost 2 more titles to Hapoel Be'er Sheva, Coach Ivic came and got over it. He made he made a new team, a very, very strong team. And like I said, I think that the main weakness of Maccabi Tel Aviv, it's the loss of the foreign players. And I don't think that players like Tal Ben Chaim, for example, and Eduardo Guerrero, as talented as he can be, could feel this absence. And it's too early, and Riga need to try and take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. What do your media, I talk about all media in Israel, writes about Riga? What are their opinion, or they just don't look on opponents and just concentrate on their team?
No, they look at the opponents because it's very, very interesting. It's a very, very exciting time of the year because we get to know new teams for us. Because in Israel, we like the mainstream. We follow the Champions League, and Barcelona. It's the club with the most fans here in Israel, and maybe not so many after the last Friday, but okay. But we know about Riga. We know that this team was restructured on 2014, and we know they're playing in Skonto Stadium, and we know Skonto Riga because Skonto Riga was playing against Israeli teams from the past. I think against Betar Jerusalem, if I'm correct.
You played against Jelgava in that stadium, but yes,
Yeah.
Skonto was also the big club in Latvia.
Yeah. We know that there's a player from Brazil who is very talented. We know there's a player from Congo who is a very talented. From Congo, am I right? Yeah.
Attacker, yeah.
Yeah. And we know there's a lot of money investing in there. It's like Maccabi Tel Aviv facing the Maccabi Tel Aviv of Latvia.
Yeah, you are right. Okay, thank you for your thoughts. That maybe you can add something more interesting, and I didn't ask you, but actually I have asked you everything I wanted.
Well, I think for Maccabi Tel Aviv it would be a huge achievement if somehow they could get, not to the group stage, but to the playoff of the Champions League qualification. Qualifiers, sorry. I think Riga has a good chance to beat Maccabi Tel Aviv. And if it's a good time to face Maccabi Tel Aviv with all their with all the changes, it's now. And I think, well, I'm rooting for Maccabi Tel Aviv, of course, but I think I will not be surprised if Riga beat them.
Maybe overtime tomorrow and penalties, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay, thank you very much for conversation, and good luck for you. Good luck for us. Let's the strongest win.
Yeah, thank you very much.